So let's see how to use condition technique. Let First of all, let's try to understand what is condition technique. What are the applications in which we use condition technique? How to use condition technique? Okay, so as the name, condition technique, it's a generic word. It can be applied to many of the SAP applications, not only in MM, but in MM, SD, even in accounting as well. Okay, so in we use it for price determination procedure, message determination procedure, and of course even batch determination procedure. So how pricing is controlled in SAP? So let's try to understand this one. Pricing, as the term used in SAP, describes the calculation of various prices and costs. When, let's say, when you create a purchase order, you will have various pricing elements like gross price, discount, surcharge, freight, taxes, so on and so forth. So together, as what are the pricing elements to be defaulted automatically into the purchase order is what we call it as pricing procedure in SAP MM purchasing. So that's what we are going to discuss it. So the pricing in SAP is actually controlled by a term called condition technique, a concept called condition technique. So, by once we complete the price determination procedure, you would understand how it will be controlled. Like I said, the condition technique is not only used in SAP MM, but it's used in multiple places. Let me put it here. Condition technique. So this, we use it for pricing, we use it for message or output determination, okay, and we use it for also called batch determination, okay, we use it for partner determination, okay, all these four we use it in SAP MM, okay, so these are all from part of SAP MM. So we have already discussed about partner determination when we work with vendor master, and we will see today price determination, message determination tomorrow, batch determination in case of batch management. Apart from this, you could see here it's also used at multiple places in sales order processing, like when you purchase material from vendor, you will have various prices or pricing elements negotiated by your buyer. Similarly, when you sell the product of yours to customer, you will also have gross price, discount, surcharge, net price, so on and so forth. This is from the sales order perspective. So therefore, the condition technique is also being used in sales order processing. It's being used in invoice processing, purchasing, which we are discussing right now, stock transport order with SD delivery and billing. This is part of STPO, stock transport order with SD delivery and billing, that is across company codes, which we will see it in special procurement. It's also being used in tax calculation. It's also used in costing sheets for orders or internal orders. In other applications, it's used in revenue account determination, text determination, output and partner determination, again part of SAP MM. In case of what you call workflow, where there is something called um, um, work item ID. Okay, it's used in that place and also in batch determination. So in all other places where the same concept is used, but you will probably see slightly different terminology. Okay, now to work with pricing or to work with what you call the condition technique, you need to know these terms. Terms to be known. Okay, the first and foremost thing, what we call it as, let's say, pricing procedure. In case of pricing, we call it as pricing procedure, or the generic name is something called calculation schema. Okay, so you need to understand what we call it as calculation schema. You have something called schema group for vendor. Okay, so you have also one more thing called schema group for purchasing organization. Okay, then you have something called condition type. Okay, so you have condition table, you have something called condition record. Okay, you have something called access sequence key, you have one more thing called sequence key. Okay, what else? Are these the only things?
Seven items.
Sorry?
Seven.
Yeah,
Seven items.
7 items, right? So the okay, there is one more thing which I have forgotten. There is something called exclusion indicator. Okay, so these are the ones which you need to remember or which you need to understand as part of condition technique. So let me explain you each and everything, and then I'll go with configuration and then configure. Pricing procedure or calculation schema. Okay, this contains, right? So it contains list of valid condition types. Okay, condition type. Okay, list of valid condition types for a, I would say, specific vendor and purchase organization, right? So this is what we call it as calculation schema, or what we call it as a pricing procedure. And what is schema group for vendor? Schema group for vendor is nothing but a key assigned to the vendor, okay, which is used to determine the correct, I would say, correct calculation schema. In a way, you call it as pricing procedure for a specific vendor. I would say for a specific vendor. Okay, so it's a key that is assigned to a vendor which is used to determine the correct calculation schema or a pricing procedure for a specific vendor. Now, what is schema group for purchasing organization? Okay, this is also a key. Okay, this is also a key assigned to a purchase organization which is used to determine the correct calculation schema or pricing procedure. Okay, pricing procedure if the items are procured by a specific purchasing organization. Okay, then let's try to understand what is condition type. A condition type is nothing but the type of the various types of condition types are nothing but the type of pricing element used. Okay, like gross price, it's one condition type. Discount is another condition type. Surcharge is one more condition type. So it's nothing but a form of a pricing element used in pricing procedure. I would say a form of pricing element. Example, gross price, discount, okay, tax, net price, etc. Okay, used in the pricing procedure. Okay, so this is called condition type. So what do you mean by condition table? Okay, so let's try to understand what is a condition table. Let's say, let me take one example as gross price. When I say gross price, that is the price of an item, you can get the gross price based on multiple things. Gross price, or rather the price, you can derive it from info record, or if you are referring a line item in a purchase order from a particular contract, that means you can get the item price from a contract. Okay, in case if you are working with service orders, the price could be independent of plant and anything, or you can have something like a plant specific price. So it means you will have the price, gross price, which can be derived from multiple options. The condition table is nothing but combination of key fields used to derive a certain condition type, or a certain condition type. Like I said, price based on purchasing organization and plant, price based on only purchasing organization and a specific vendor, isn't it? So therefore, you could have multiple table fields which can be used to derive a price, a gross price, if, right? So it means each condition type can have multiple condition tables, right? So your price may be defaulted from any of the condition table. So if I have to say a condition type is nothing but it's a table made up of combination of key fields used to derive the condition. Okay, I would say pricing element. Okay, so you can have multiple condition tables for a particular condition type. Okay, therefore you can have multiple condition tables for a specific, I would say, condition type. That's possible, right? Now what is condition record? A condition record is nothing but an actual value for a particular condition type. Okay, for example, if I say gross price of 10 rupees, the 10 rupees INR is nothing but a condition record. Okay, so one sec. An actual value for a particular condition type is nothing but condition record. Then access sequence key. Let me define the access sequence key. The
Sir,
entire
condition. Hello, sir. Condition table, sir. ఇక్కడ
I'll,
కనబడలేదు. Therefore, you can have multiple condition అని వచ్చాడు. అక్కడి నుంచి కనబడట్లేదు సార్.
ఇది లోపల ఉందండి. It's here.
ఇది జస్టిఫై చేయండి సార్ వస్తుంది. డబుల్
Yeah.
రూల్ వస్తుంది.
ఓకే, ఇది ఆటోమేటికల్ వస్తుందండి మీకు. If I have to do this, it will be there for each and everything. Okay, so access sequence key. Let me explain you what is access sequence key. It's a search strategy given by SAP which is used to determine the correct condition record available for a particular condition type. Okay. ఇట్లా తీసుకోవట్లేదండి కంట్రోల్ జెడ్. I will do this later only. Basically, I have to use two cells if I have to do that way. So because I have used single cell, if I go with format, it will be available in only one cell. Okay. So now access sequence key. As I said, it's a search strategy given by SAP in order to determine a correct condition record available for a particular condition type. Okay, so if you understand this particular sentence, the entire condition technique will be much easier for you. So let me repeat once again. Okay, it's a search strategy defined by SAP, which is used to determine the correct condition record available from a multiple, I would say, condition tables for a particular condition type. Okay, it's a search strategy defined by SAP which is used to determine the correct condition record available from multiple condition tables for a particular condition type. Okay, sequence key exclusion indicator, we will discuss it when we actually go into condition table, right? So with this, let me take you to the configuration. I will explain you first over here, and then um, I'll go with the actual what I would say the configurations. You see here, let's say this is my PO. Okay, let me just put it as, say, just give me a moment. Let's say PO number. Say, let's open one PO just for the sake of example. Say ME23N. Assume it. Is this my PO? No, this is not my PO. So let me take one of the POs that I've created. Okay, so this is my PO. I'll just use this PO. Okay, over here. You see, this is my PO. You see here, what information am I giving primarily here? I'm giving vendor information. Okay, so you see here, you have got some vendor information. Okay, so you have a vendor information maintained here, and you have a purchasing organization information you can maintain here, isn't it? So you have a purchasing organization information, you can maintain it. So here, let's say this is my vendor information. So and then the purchasing organization information is, for example, 77C here. Okay, look at here, this is my purchasing organization. What does it mean? You see here in my terms to be used, I specified schema group for vendor, schema group for purchase organization. In my purchase order, if I give vendor information and purchase organization information, my system is going to determine there is something called schema group for vendor, and my system is also going to determine schema group for purchasing organization. Okay, so here schema group for vendor, if my system knows the vendor information, it's going to find out schema group for vendor. Okay, so it's going to find out the schema group for vendor information is available to the system. Similarly, if it knows the purchasing organization, if my system knows purchasing organization, obviously it's going to find out the schema group for purchasing organization. Even this is also available for my system. What am I going to do? For these two schema groups, I'm going to assign something called calculation schema. Okay, for these two, I'm going to assign, there is something called calculation schema. All right, say I'm going to assign my calculation schema, or I would say the pricing procedure. Okay, so here is my calculation schema. I would say calculation schema. I'm going to assign something called calculation schema. This calculation schema is the one which contains all the pricing elements that are going to be used in my purchase order. So here I'm going to specify what are my conditions, or the pricing conditions or purchasing things that I'm going to use. To start with, okay, you could see here, I'll just go and specify few things over here. Okay, so here I'm going to enter the gross price. Okay, for example, what else? I'm going to use discount. Okay, I'm going to use surcharge. Okay, let's say I wanted to write also. Okay, and then what else would you like to use? For example, let's say net price. Okay, assuming these are the ones which I'm going to use in my purchase order, or rather these are the ones which I'm going to negotiate. Okay, so these are the ones I'm going to negotiate with my vendor. Okay, so let's say if I am the buyer, right? So if I am the buyer, I am going to negotiate the following conditions with my vendor.
So can we add Incoterms also?
Is Incoterm a condition, pricing condition? Can you tell me, Radhika, is Incoterm a pricing condition? It's not, isn't it? Incoterm is not a pricing condition. Based on the Incoterms you define. Based on the Incoterm, the rest of the conditions will be, you will be defining it. So therefore Incoterm is not a pricing condition. Right?
Okay.
So here, you see here, this is the triggering point. The question will be asked in this way. What is the triggering point for the pricing procedure? you have to say, based on the vendor master on the purchase organization that you give in your purchase order, system determines schema group for vendor and the corresponding schema group for the purchasing organization. With this combination, I'm going to maintain a calculation schema in configurations, which actually contains list of pricing conditions that I'm going to use it. Okay, so for each of these one, you will have various keys. So now, give me a moment. Okay, so let me copy this, or maybe I can copy it later. With this, let me take you to configurations. So I'll just go with /o/spro. This is the navigation path. You have to go to configurations, wherein you go with MM purchasing. Under MM purchasing, you will see something called conditions.
Sir, we are not able to hear your voice, sir.
Hello, sir. Yes, whenever.
Welcome to GoToMeeting, online meeting. There are 5 other callers on the call.